Well, welcome to another edition of Wings Weekly. Jay Klein-Connect here, along with head coach Scott Langer. And Coach, it's been a bit since we've had this camera in front of us like this, and a lot has happened. A huge run at the end of the season, going over on that Monday, the tie-breaking fifth game with the Wilderness. And the boys come up big to win the Central Division Championship, which, as you can see, the Central Cup is here between us. And from there, it went on to Duluth and on to the Final Four, and a chance to advance to the championship round. After playing with the Aston Rebels, and you guys end up going 3 games there too. Boy, I don't even know what more to say anymore. The guys just really laid it all out on the ice, and I certainly don't have anything that they can regret, because I think they absolutely gave their all. And a lot of hockey was played down the stretch, and a lot of overtimes and double overtimes, and man, they wouldn't give up. They wouldn't go away. They just kept battling, and I think that's a testament certainly to you and Coach Bone, but to the integrity of these young men. It's been a bit of a whirlwind, but what do you take away from the last couple of weeks here?
Yeah, it's great finish, and the good thing for our staff is that, our guys did leave it out there on the ice. You seen them hit that wall in the second game against Aston. There was just nothing left. Mm-hmm. It's a whole lot of games in a short period of time, and you try to use most of your personnel, and just it's tough to go 5 games in that final series and end it on Monday in overtime, and have to go right on and try to prepare for Aston. So you know what? I mean, I could see if we played bad. By no means did we play bad. Our guys just ran out of gas, and we were as good as the rest of the teams in the Robertson Cup, which I think we're really proud of. Mm-hmm. And a bounce here or there, this trophy may be a little bigger sitting next to us, to be honest with you. So, yep. Guys did a great job. I mean, they've come from a ways out to really developing into a heck of a hockey team. And we're really proud here in Aberdeen.
Absolutely, and Aberdeen is proud of you and all the players, as they showed last night at Wings and Rings for a kind of a send-off. Great turnout, and a lot of great opportunities for people to interact with the players and get some autographs and some pictures and so on. Lots of really cool stuff going on at Wings and Rings last night. I think it was awesome for them, the fans, to be able to show the Wings players in person and how much this season has meant, and how much the effort that each of them laid out there meant to the community and to the fans. Well, not only is the Central Division Championship a record for the Aberdeen Wings franchise, but 14 commits that were on the roster at some point during this 2016-2017 season. That is the most in the entire NAHL. So that was a huge, I'm sure, a huge feather in your hat, or a proud statistic, and certainly for the organization as well. No, it was something that was brought up at the banquet there at the Robertson Cup banquet and so on. And that's got to mean a lot to you too, huh, Coach?
Well, it's the number one thing for me, aside from winning, obviously, but putting players in school. And I know that the Odie family shares the same thing when it comes to one of the priorities here is to help young men move on and get to the college level. And we did that this year, and that's always one of my goals every year, and Coach Bone's goals is to see these kids, improve them, help develop them, and get them on to the next level. And that's a big thing for this organization. I think players are going to recognize that are up and coming and want to be an Aberdeen Wing because of that.
Yeah, definitely. Certainly can't hurt from the recruiting aspect. Well, I mentioned the Wings and Rings send-off last night. One of the things that I thought was really popular, and a lot of people kind of mentioned to me that they really enjoyed the question and answer kind of segment, and getting a chance to, we try to do it here on a pretty regular basis, getting to talk with some of the players, and sometimes the questions get a little stale, but it was pretty cool to go through the crowd and have some people asking questions, something they were curious about, maybe something funny, maybe something legit. And I know one thing that people, like I said, have been, kind of wanting an opportunity to get a glimpse at the personality of the players and even coaches. But one of the things that was a common thread, I suppose, and has been, is the future. And I know early yet, but there's camps coming up, which we'll talk about here in just a bit, and and May 2nd kind of hit the Wings hard, as far as the USHL draft. Any idea, without divulging any inside information or anything, what the future holds for some of these young men as far as returning and what your team looks like next year?
Well, the one thing I've always learned that this period of time really don't ask too many questions, because a lot of emotions going through the players, and until they get home and mom and dad hit them, their advisors hit them.
Yeah.
Obviously they all love it here, and they love the family aspect of it, but there's a whole lot of other things going on that the player himself doesn't control, and everybody always thinks they're bigger and better. Yeah. I've learned that being in the North American League for so long. So until they get through that aspect of it, we really won't know what they plan on doing. They all can tell you that they plan on returning, but as I've learned, that's not truthful. So, it's a whole nother recruiting year for us, and we were able to put a team on the ice this year. It obviously took some time to develop, and I would guess that it would be the same thing again next year. We're going to have to go out and find some young guys to develop again, and it just seems like when you finish high, there's always that reloading that's got to happen. So, a lot of people expect you to come right out of the gates next year, be at the top of the division, and it just doesn't work that way. Yeah. We're going to have to develop again, and we want them all back. We put a lot of time into these players this year. The whole organization did. Selfishly, we want them back. And do we believe we can develop as good as the rest of them? Absolutely, we do. And I think, as time goes by, we can prove that. So, but you know what? If someone leaves, then someone else becomes a wing and a new part of the family. So for us, we're right back to work today, and it's about building next year's team.
Yeah. Well, and you raised an interesting point there, because it is true that while they're among their teammates and fans, and here happy in the Dean or whatever, it's tough to get an honest answer out of them, because even if they believe they're coming back, as you said, things change over the summer. Maybe there's a family situation or whatever changes, or an opportunity arises that they just don't feel like they can turn down or whatever. So I can see what you mean, that it's early. One of the things I wanted to mention too is that, as you said, it's really kind of standard operating procedure in the NAHL that basically every year in, year out, you're going to be building, because you're losing players. Either they age out, or they go to a college, or maybe they go to another league or whatever. So it's not uncommon, as you said, to need to kind of start over. But I wanted to comment on this team particularly, and how many of them were later additions, that weren't necessarily with from the start of the game, start of the season. Guys like Trey Bagwell and that all kind of came over a little bit later on. Obviously, Pitters and those guys from high school, but Colton Fletcher and so on. There's a lot of pieces that were added as the season went along. And one of the comments that you made last night I thought was pretty telling, when you talked about individuals becoming a team and becoming a family, and how impressive that was for these young men, because of the throughout the season pieces being added and so on, and how tight they ended up being. Is that, in your experience, common, or is that kind of not the norm, that you can have a group of guys that bonds like that?
Well, it's the norm once our culture becomes strong, and I think you're starting to see some of the effects of that, because our leadership is strong.
Right.
So with that, they're very accepting, and once those new players come in, this is the way we do things. If not, go back out the door and go somewhere else, and that's truly what it is. They come in, and the players kind of developed this year. They call it the Wings way, and it's how it's going to be. And that's strong leadership, when they come in here and they can bring a player in that's coming from a new team or wherever it may be, and kind of make them feel cared for right away. They don't push them out. They don't have cliques. That's big stuff.
Yeah.
And we've developed that, and we're still developing it to a higher level here in Aberdeen. But those are good things, because there will be, through the course of the year, until we're not allowed to do it anymore, the deadline's hit, you always have to be looking to make your team better.
Right.
And then we will do that.
Absolutely. All right, well, a little bit more about what's coming up in the future, but first let's take a quick break and hear from one of our sponsors, and be back right after this.
Let's make a taco. No, seriously. Start with a tortilla, soft tortilla. Warm it, kiss it. Don't kiss it. Chicken? How about tequila lime chicken? Now we're cooking. Slice this, peel that, snip those. Salsa? Verde. Cheese? Cotija. Oh, forgot to mention. Guac. That's better. See, anyone can make a taco, but we're not anyone. We're Qdoba, and these are knockout tacos. Qdoba Mexican Eats. Choose flavor.
Welcome back to Wings Weekly. Jay Klein-Kennect here, along with head coach Scott Langer. And Coach, we've kind of been talking about not only the finish of the season and what an incredibly high note that was, and how there's so much buzz around town and support for fans and so on, just an amazing finish. But also we're talking about the future and about what the season brings and what these young men have to think about over the summer. And because there's a lot going on. Their future's at stake, and and for you, what does the summer all bring? I mean, a lot of people might think that, well, you kind of get the few months off from the summer off, but that's not the case. You're almost as busy or busier in some cases over the course of the summer and the off season, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would think that pretty much every weekend is booked from here till the start of the season between Coach Bone and I. We'll be doing a lot of recruiting. Obviously, we have our camps that we utilize to fill our rosters. We have our draft coming up. It's actually, during the season you're in a routine.
Right.
Every day you have the players, just what you're doing, you're training, you're on the ice. The whole routine changes once the playing season ends. You're all over the place trying to find the next Aberdeen Wings. So it's actually a little more busy than it would be during the season.
I totally imagine. When it comes to camps, I had a question that was kind of asked of me to pass along to you, and I thought it was interesting. When you're at camps, or when you're looking at who may be drafted and so on, and I think we kind of touched on this at the beginning of the year too, is what kind of people that you're looking for and so on. But are you looking for the most talented and best player when you're at camp, like I said, at the camps or wherever, and on the recruiting trail, or are you looking for the best fit, the best person who you can mold and kind of work into the team identity, I guess? So is it all about talent, or are you kind of thinking, okay, I want the talent and the speed and everything else, and I can make him an Aberdeen Wing? Or are you saying, I can see this guy as an Aberdeen Wing, and we'll work on the rest? Yeah,
it's a little of both, and you hope that you can get both in every player, but
right.
Obviously that's never going to happen. The one thing our staff does right away is we want to make sure that they can fit in to what we do here, because the most talented kid doesn't always fit in. His personality won't mesh. He's not a team guy sometimes. I think first and foremost, if you can fit in here and into what we're about, that's a good start. And obviously then we'll go from there and look at your skill level. And then, the one thing that our scouting staff has done a great job is we look on need, what positions we're going to have to fill.
Sure.
Do we need size in the middle? Do we need power play style defensemen? Because you can go out and get the best talented group of guys, but you know what? If they're all left shots and they don't play center, and there's some tough positions in junior hockey. So we kind of use a puzzle format, and we look for obviously the most talented young man, but with the most character.
And that has to fit, right? And in more ways than one. Not only with the character of the team, but as you said, it has to be able to fill a role that is needed. And of course, with Kevin Fitzgerald and Carter Rue and Tyler Bossert and Forbes Ploget aging out and moving on, we know they aren't coming back, and that's a good part of the when you're looking at the scoring columns and so on, the scoring leader and so on. So definitely some shoes to fill, or skates to fill, as the case may be. But as we talked about, that's the case with every team every year. We talked a little about camps. There's some dates that we want to make mention. Pre-draft camp dates, May 26th through the 28th at Mendota Heights, Minnesota, and then June 2nd and through the 4th at Farmington Hills, Michigan. You can visit AberdeenWings.com to register if you feel like you've got what it takes to be an Aberdeen Wing or the next Aberdeen Wing. And the NAHL draft is Tuesday, June 6th. So some dates that fans, I know, as the season goes, next season, I guess, gets closer and so on. There's a lot of people that are looking for their hockey fix over the course of the summer. So maybe you can follow along and with the NAHL draft and so on. Front office information for the 2017-2018 season tickets are on sale now. Contact Aaron Smith at 605-380-5852 for more information. If you'd like to be a Wings sponsor, you can contact Pete Sauer at 218-820-5049. Also, I believe the Division Championship T-shirts are still available for sale. I know initially they scrambled to get as many done as they could for Duluth, but now they have more available. So you can contact Aaron on those. And then I think there's still some team pictures that are available for sale too. Really turned out well. So a couple of things for you Wings fans out there. All right, well, that's pretty much going to wrap it up, Coach. I wish you the very best in the off season and best of luck. And again, congratulations on an amazing year that really inspired a lot of people in this town. And I thank you for coming on the show here with us one more time.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will wrap it up for the 2016-2017 Wings Weekly and season. We'll see you in a few months.